Dear viewers, today I am reading an Assamese novel translated to English by me. It is written by Sahitya Saitya Syed Abdul Malik, named Kumeru Kumeru Aru Eti Bahi. I have translated it as Poles Apart and a Flute. It is about apartheid and about bad effects of scientific experiments. It's a small book, but very interesting. It was written on the large signboard outside the shop, the Orphean, a house for all varieties of musical instruments. Although small in size, the shop was tidy. There were different types of musical instruments in the showcases, namely violin, guitar, clarinet, flutes, etc. They were displayed aesthetically. On the other side of the room, big instruments like organs, pianos, drums of various types and sizes were arranged beautifully. There were few colored portraits of famous musicians by some famous artists on the walls. A middle-aged Negro lady was sitting in the counter. There were two other sales girls. One was white, the other being black. An immensely popular Negro song with a deep, pleasant tone was being played in a record player in a low volume. One sales girl in the counter was moving her hand rhythmically and uttering the song along with. The area was located in the border. There ended the settlements of the whites, and beyond that the colonies of the blacks started towards the east. The roads were meant for the blacks, the lands, the clubs, flower gardens, playgrounds were all marked for the blacks. There lay the black soil, trudged and blackened by the feet of the blacks. There was an open space between those areas as a demarcation between the two races. At times, a car driven by a white man went past the area of black people, and sometimes a car driven by a black man passed through an area of whites. It seemed from the location of the musical shop that there was a liking for music in the black community. There was a continuous flow of customers into the shop. Someone was buying electronic gadgets, some mouth organs, another a cassette, etc. There was no bargaining for prices. It was fixed. Only one needed to find it. A Negro young boy and a white girl entered the shop. The sales girls in the counter laughed and came whizzing forwards. They knew the pair well. One of the sales girls told excitedly, "Sir, your last record has been a sellout. The stock is almost nil. Are you making any new album?" "Oh yes, we are. It might be in the very next month. I want a violin," the Negro youth answered. "Do you want it right now, Mr. Sally? And what do you need, Miss Helena?" "No, I don't want any. Please give him that." That was a Negro area. There lived all black people. The area extended to several kilometers. It was a busy place. There the men and women went for work early in the morning. Someone went to the fields for cultivation, someone to the factories, some went to ply their own taxis or to drive buses. Many went to work at the hotels in the cities and metros, or to work in the churches or in the shops. The students went to their schools and colleges. The employees went to their offices. The children went to the gyms, sports complexes, some others to the musical institutes. The Negro people had interests both in music and sports. There was endless energy in every Negro youth. They were strong, hardworking. They were in the forefront in horse riding, swimming, wrestling. They were preoccupied in making themselves fit in order to win in such competitions. The house of Pastor Ferdinand Jackson was situated near the old church. He was old, his hair was white, he had lost few teeth also, but his eyesight was good. He used specs only while he read. He could do without it at other times. He was tall and healthy. He was a bit hunched due to his aging. Nevertheless, he was not weak. His voice was strong. He was locally famous as a good singer. His gospels were especially attractive in the church. He had 2 children. The girl was elder and remained with her parents. His son was staying away. He looked like a fully grown-up man, though young. He was black like other Negro boys, but his features were handsome. His lower lips were not big like his father, and his eyes were also not bigger. His nose was also of medium size and not blunt. However, his hairs were matted and curly like other Negro boys. He was gifted with a sweet, deep voice. His voice was sweeter than his father's at his age. He was Sally Jackson, singer, lyricist. He was also a good sportsman. By his first love was music, songs, organs, piano, and violins. He learned to play the piano and the organs from his father when he was young. Due to his interest, he was admitted in a local music school to learn the basics. After passing with flying colors, he was sent to a famous music college in a faraway city. There were few masters of music in that college. There were teachings mostly on European classical music in that institute. In the folk song department, there was arrangement for the students to learn the special songs of the Negroes, pastoral and religious songs, etc. Sally Jackson was admitted in that institute to learn different musical instruments and musical course. Most of the students who passed from that institute made it their profession. Some went on to become teachers in music schools, or some went to join in the professional operas, theaters, or groups. Sally endeavored to learn the violin and piano and also along with the vocal music. He became famous as a good musician within a very short time. In that music college, there were students both black and white. Though all white pupils were not free from the feeling of apartheid, there were students and teachers from the both communities working together. Mr. Sally Jackson had a special personality. Although a bit young, he was adored as a good musician, but he was better known as a communicative and dependable young man. Mr. Sally Jackson played the organ. The children sang the chorus. He accompanied as a musician with many good singers. He sometimes played the piano all alone and sometimes the violin. He also sang alone at times, solo. He would sing with his deep, sweet voice, forgetting the outside world. He would listen to himself. Nobody could do without listening to. Sally wrote and gave the music to his songs. He tried knowingly to express the hardships and mental agony of the black Negroes. The color of the skin of some people who lived under the same sky and upon the same earth were white, and some were black. Yet in the mindset of the whites, the blacks were not human beings. They were the neglected, pitied, and hated lot. Their entry into the realms of the whites were thought as unwanted trespass. There would be no objection or sin even to kill them for such a fox pass. Mr. Sally sang against that domination. He tried as a Negroiot, a singer-performer, to express the heart-rending sufferings of the black people through his songs. Where thou had got that power to dominate the blacks for ages because of the black skin. We would not depend on you. We would become ourselves. We would find out the honor and dignity of human beings by our own effort. Nobody could take away from us the fundamental right to openly protest against that white racism and their superior ego. A song wrought and voiced by him was very popular. I was born in a moonlight night, but I was black and dark. My heart is a dark black horse, but my soul is red, red, red. And for that no remorse, my heart is a gentleman, and he wears a black shirt. But my soul is green, green, green. And my eyes are black, but my song is red, and my sigh is red. And my smile is red, a red smile, a red sigh. I am a dark night, and you are the bright moon. The moon is for the night, and the night is for the moon. And soon, very soon, the night will meet the moon. He was not alone in singing that song. Many other pupils of the institute sang with him. But one girl, a white one, could sing perfectly all his songs in a coordinated way. She was a student of vocal and dance. She played an organ beautifully and also sang well. That girl had no feelings of apartheid. Her father was a maths teacher in a school. The girl was very beautiful and healthy. Her features were perfect. She had golden hair and a very attractive figure. She looked a bit slim as she was tall. The look from her deep blue eyes was very soft, however sad. And might be because of that, she was more beautiful when she laughed. Mr. Sally Jackson specialized in that music college for 4 long years. He took his degree in music with flying colors and also in violin and organ. Then after completion of his graduation, he stayed for some time with many other musical groups. Then he joined a new group named Ecstasy on a regular payroll. Sally Jackson had a good fan following among the both black and white people. He could spellbind his audience with his strong, powerful renditions of his voice. There was another reason for that. In almost all his music functions, there was the invariable presence of that beautiful white girl, a good singer. She was also a member of the group Ecstasy. Sally and that girl made the newly started group Ecstasy famous with their duets. That group got invitation from the USA, Europe, Africa, and many foreign countries to conduct musical programs. Almost in all occasions, that beautiful white girl accompanied Mr. Sally Jackson. Sally did not have a separate stage name like many others in that group. He was known as only Sally, the singer-composer. But the girl took a stage name, Miss Helena West. The combination of Sally and Helena West was unprecedented. Many thought and believed that he got the inspiration to compose some of the songs from Miss Helena West. Sally's love songs expressed deep feelings of the heart. It did not confine to the wordings of their songs. It also spread into their beings. Both Sally and Helena could understand that more than the others. They knew that the world of music through which they met might lead towards unification of their hearts also. They did not shy away or speak openly about it. But that dark skin of his Negro identity and past were the only stumbling blocks to make her his life partner as well. Miss Helena had that mental strength and courage to overcome it. Mr. Sally also had it, but they let the time pass silently under their feet, denying any social attachments between them and staying as two paid artists of a professional music group, irrespective of their singing, dancing, and roaming together. They thought it was not proper to give vent to their personal feelings. Several years passed by with many new experiences and different events. Then two things happened almost simultaneously. It had left its mark on the lives of Sally and Helena. The pastor, Mr. Ferdinand Jackson, became suddenly ill. He had got a massive heart attack. At that time, Sally was on a European tour. He left for home to see his ailing father, taking few days leave from Ecstasy. Mr. Ferdinand Jackson was a very lovable person and was a gentle Christian. Everybody worried for his health. He was given all the best treatment that was available. After a few days, he came round a bit. Then Sally also prepared to go back to join his group. But there occurred an unusual sudden happening at that place. One white man was traveling through their area with his family in a car. A dog crossed before him. He lost his control and it resulted in an accident. A small girl got a minor injury. All the others were safe. The car was damaged a little, but it could still move. Many people from around gathered at that place. All were Negro people. They took hold of the passengers of the car and got them out carefully. Also the little girl. Someone called out a Negro doctor from nearby. But the white man refused to take treatment offered by a Negro doctor. he gathered all the family members back into his car and went out driving the same car. When he left that place, he gesticulated to the Negro people and was angry. He vowed to punish them. Everybody hoped that the matter would stop there. Though the car of that white man was a bit damaged, its engine was okay, and the small girl was also not much injured. And no one among the Negroes was personally responsible for that freak accident. There was only one bad thing: a car driven by a white person met with an accident in a black area. It was as if the dog was planted and trained by someone mischievously. Sally was about to go back to join Ecstasy as Mr. Ferdinand Jackson regained his health. But the former musical institute where he learned his basics planned to honor him with a program in his achievement as a renowned international singer. In short, the local residents arranged a musical program by Sally. He agreed to stay back for 2 days. The news of that program was advertised in the local newspaper and through banners and posters. Everybody knew that there would be a great rush of people. The auditorium of the musical college would not be sufficient, so a big concert hall in the area between the white and black population was selected as the venue. As people from both the areas bought tickets, the rent for the big hall was made easily. The program started in time. A few of the students and teachers from the musical institute sang few songs and staged few programs. Then the chief attraction, Mr. Sally Jackson, started his program. His songs were his own creation. Those were already popular and were well accepted. He sang his second song. Tell me, my friend, I ask you, is my voice black? Is my song black? Tell me, I ask you. You were born in a moonlit night. I was born in a moonless night. But we were born as children of Father Adam and Mother Eve. Do you believe that voice is also black of him, whose color is black? Tell me if my blood is black. Tell me if my song is black. Tell me, I ask you, is my voice black? No sooner Sally had finished his song, there were brickbats and stones were thrown over the roofs and walls of the concert hall. Someone forcefully entered the closed door. There were beatings. The situation became chaotic. There was big noise. It was a scuffle between the whites and the blacks. The whites were coming ready with sticks and weapons. Several had revolvers with them. Someone shot at the bulbs and the light had gone out. Mr. Sally Jackson shouted over the microphone and tried to contain the mob, requesting them to become quiet and peaceful. Suddenly a bullet hit the microphone from nowhere and it dislodged and fell down somewhere. Another bullet hit Sally Jackson on his thigh and he fell down. The noise and shouting became more. Some people got up to the stage and took Sally Jackson out. Then the armed police arrived at the scene and controlled the situation within a short time. Few persons as well as Mr. Sally had to be taken to the hospital for treatment. Among them, few were whites also. It was later known that the whole episode was planned and executed by that white man who had got that accident few days ago. It must have been planned very secretly, otherwise there would not be any whites attending it. Mr. Sally Jackson had to stay in the hospital for several days. The revolver's bullet was lodged on his thigh. He could walk after a few days when it was taken out. The aim was made to his chest and head. Luckily, he survived. The bullets missed its target. He joined Ecstasy only after 1 month. He was unaware of another happening during his absence. He could learn of it only when he joined Ecstasy again. During his absence, the team of Ecstasy arrived at a big city on a 10-day program. That city was famous for its 2 research centers, which were very secret. The city got its development mainly because of those secret research centers. The common people had no way to know about those researches that were going on in those underground places. but everybody saw new faces coming to stay at that place for a period of time. Some of the employees stayed in few good hotels permanently. Some other employees stayed in some good rented houses. When the team of Ecstasy arrived at that place, some of the stars were kept in a luxury hotel. Some scientists from the research centers were also lodged in the same hotel. In one room, Miss Helena West was accommodated. By the side of that room, there stayed a famous scientist, Dr. Hilton Reed. After 10 days, hectic days of the program, it was soon known that the engagement has occurred between the famous scientist Dr. Hilton Reed and the famous singer Miss Helena West. They were going to be married soon. That news became a hot topic. Many disbelieved as it occurred so suddenly and without any warning. But the manager of Ecstasy announced it to be true and that everyone was happy at it. More so because Miss Helena would marry a young famous scientist who was also very rich. And moreover, Helena could pursue her career as a singer even after her marriage as long as she wished. It would be more attractive also commercially, as people would know that the wife of a leading scientist was singing for the group. Although she would register in her real name during marriage, she could continue with her professional name as Helena West because her real name had no identity as a singer. Mr. Sally Jackson rejoined his group Ecstasy after it left that town. He congratulated Helena on her engagement with a renowned scientist. He showed his happiness courteously, but he was hurt and was very sad inside. He did not succeed to make that co-singer his life partner, but Sally hid his feelings and did not express it to anyone else in this world. All the performers in Ecstasy knew about their relationships. They were awestruck at that sudden decision of Helena to marry another person, but they were more astonished to see the unmindfulness attitude of Sally Jackson. They knew well that the heroine of many of his songs was none other than Helena herself. They wondered whether they would sing together again. Mr. Sally Jackson stayed with Ecstasy for 6 years and 8 months and traveled to different countries. Helena also continued with them for 2 years, even after her marriage with that scientist Dr. Hilton Reed. Then she severed her ties with Ecstasy. Her daughter Rita was born soon after that. Even after that, Helena continued to sing on radio, TV, or in musical programs occasionally. Mr. Sally Jackson continued to perform in that group until few years after that. After that, he also moved away from them on personal ground. At first, he performed as a freelance singer for few days. Then he constituted a new group called Caravan with some new singers and performers. He first thought of taking Helena West with him, but later thought otherwise. Margaret V became the new female lead singer in his group. Few rich black persons had donated money to form that group. Soon Caravan became successful as a new group and became viable commercially. Chapter 2. He was expected today. Might be he would present himself within a short time. La Jessica was situated right near the sea on a mount. It was a big, luxurious hotel. Once it was a summer resort of some prince. That summer palace had become a famous aristocratic hotel. Though the hotel was built with an old Gothic-style architecture, yet it had every modern amenities. There was beautiful garden of precious and rare flowers, a rare and tasty fruit garden, a small waterfall, and below the hill a small zoo. There were various species of deer, zebra, tiger, monkey, and few birds. Though it was not large, the zoo was kept very tidily. All the animals were taken care of very carefully. Everyone in the hotel liked to pass their time looking at them. There was a supermarket in the ground floor. Many selected items from different countries were kept there for sale. A swimming pool and a gym were also situated within the hotel campus. A ballroom and a cinema hall were also inside the hotel. Above all these, the most attractive thing in La Jessica was the splendid, peaceful view of the deep blue sea on its southern and western side. The color of the waves changed every moment. The unprecedented beauty of the sunshine in the daytime and silvery moonlight in the night cast over the fluttering waves was out of this world. Looking at the sea, people with even terminal illnesses also forget about their diseases. Whoever had seen the unmeasurable beauty of a sunrise or a sunset from the railings of the veranda or from a room in La Jessica did never forget it for his entire life. The far-flung blue sky, the sea over there, the dense forest on one side, and the beautiful flower garden on this side, all made people stunned. They lost their sense seeing it. The heaven descended upon the earth reaching out to it. The mystery of life and death became one. Might be, once a connoisseur princess, seeing such a beauty, forgot to take a breath, as if like in a dream, and she exhaled over the southern sea like a slow silvery wave. From the room number 205 on the third floor, a woman was looking at the horizon, waiting for someone. Her short golden hair were unkempt and were falling on her face in the breeze. Her deep blue oceanic eyes were tired. It was as if she had not slept for several days. Her face was pale white. A sadness spread over the aging long face. It was difficult to ascertain her age from her looks. She might be 27 or even 47. The woman was standing alone. Somewhat fatigued and weakened. She was wearing a light yellow woolen coat which matched the time and weather. She was standing alone in the window. People in the garden below, the hillock near the zoo were walking slowly, gossiping leisurely. There was no hurry. It was as if they were enjoying the fresh air of the sea and trying to become healthy. From a distance, they looked like small children collecting fruits of tree. The whole scenery surrounding La Jessica seemed like a colorful canvas of a famous painter. Peaceful aesthetic spread about. Today was the time of his arrival. He might be coming this moment. Gradually, the evening descended, making the sparkling seawater more blue. It was as if someone had applied a cover over a bright day, and the sun was trying to hide behind that veil to avoid the sadness of departure. The soft electric lights were switched on everywhere. The guests of the hotel were walking outside leisurely. The enjoyable sunset pulled them out of their rooms. Today he was expected. He phoned in the morning that he would come today itself. He had kept her there in La Jessica 2 months back. He was busy in a very important assignment for the government, which he could not avoid. He would arrive today. He phoned regularly every day, but could not come over here due to his preoccupation. It was not that he did not want to come. The man who would arrive at La Jessica was world-famous nuclear scientist Dr. Herbert Hilton Reed, Dr. H. Reed. His whereabouts was news in the media. The reporters, press photographers all waited for hours to have a 2-minute appointment with him. They climbed trees, went atop roofs of houses in order to get a photograph of him. His contribution towards sending nuclear-powered or conventionally powered spacecrafts was epoch-making. He was few of those eminent scientists around the world. For now, Dr. Reed was busy innovating a new type of energy and its application. There was plan to establish an atomic and hydrogen fission system in the space, and which could be used to target at any planet, satellite, or even Earth by remote control and destroy it within seconds. The government had offered lots of money and perks for that research. Dr. Reed was doing research in an underground secret station along with few colleagues for last several years. Their main objective was to devise a process to destroy any target, any star, planet or satellite within few seconds. Along it, there was a parallel research to nip in the bud any such research undertaken in any other country by detecting and destroying it instantly. If they could succeed in that research, no one else in the entire universe could challenge their supremacy. Dr. Hilton Reed was a scientist with deep conviction. He was sure that he would be successful one day and he would become an unrivaled scientist in this world by discovering that awesome destructive energy. Although Dr. Reed was 62 years in age, he was healthy. He was tall, average built, not too obese, not too slim. He wore spectacles but could read or write even without it. He kept a small beard in style. He was not luxuriously dressed, though not unkempt. He liked to wear creamy white suits and soft-colored plain shirts. He would arrive soon. A woman with golden hair who was looking out from the Hotel La Jessica's room number 205 was Mrs. Hilda Reed. Her name was Hilda Jacqueline before her marriage. She was married 33 years ago with a budding young modern scientist, Dr. Hilton Reed. Hilda was not only a beautiful young girl, she was a renowned singer. Her renderings were very attractive and hearty. Her name and fame was spread all over the Europe and America. A group under her performed in many countries and was well established. Her beautiful, healthy body and her sweet voice made her very popular among the connoisseurs of music and beauty. Hilda was introduced to Dr. Hilton Reed during that period of time. Both of them were carried away by their success in their respective fields and were emotionally attracted towards each other. And finally they married. A budding scientist and another a famous singer. Everybody congratulated them on their marriage. Both of them were good match by their appearance and behavior. Their nuptial photos were published in several newspapers and magazines. People were stunned by those pictures. However, they could hardly stay together after their marriage. Dr. H. Reed became more involved in the research in nuclear physics. He dedicated more time in the lab, pursuing his research in the light of his new discoveries and getting more recognitions. Those outcomes of his research had attracted the attention of the nation, and it tried to free him from all his encumbrances and considered him as a national property. Mrs. Hilda also continued to perform with her group in many countries. A baby girl was born after 4 years of marriage. She also was very beautiful and topped in studies. Her name was Rita. She was married to a pilot a few years back. They were happy in their married life. She could live on with her husband's earnings, yet she had an engagement as a worker in a big television company. She earned a lot. Rita and her husband came to visit their parents twice or thrice in a year for a few days. Then they would go for a picnic in a hill station or to a sea. Or at other times, they would go to a famous hotel for a meal. They discussed with their parents about their ventures casually. They asked their mother about her musical programs and their father about the progress of his new research. Then they returned back. Rita did not like noise. She was leading in quite happy life working in a television manufacturing company. Hilda's small was touching a particular number. Then at that time, a very beautiful car of modern design stopped at the gates of La Jessica. Two persons similar in age and appearance got down from the car, and a hotel employee saluted them and took their big suitcases inside with a trolley. One of the persons was Dr. Herbert Reed and the other was Dr. Wilhelm Mann. He was a famous biologist and expert in germs. He was a German. Their rooms were ready. Dr. Mann was taken to his room. Dr. Reed went toward the lift to room number 205. Hilda opened the door. Dr. Reed went inside with a satisfied smile. He hugged and kissed her. It had been so long. Have you come finishing your work? Hilda asked. They sat down facing each other. Dr. Reed tried to explain. I told you we had seminars at different places. I had to be present in all of them. I could not avoid anyone, and there was no intention to do that earlier. I learned a lot of new things. You are all right, are you not? Hilda did not answer. She asked, have you discussed about your new discoveries? No, there were secret competition among nations about them. Others might go ahead of us if they got any knowledge of our research. We only discussed about the possibilities. We keep everything very secret as to what we are doing. Who is coming with you? Dr. William Mann. Have you heard his name? He is a great biochemist and a genetic engineer. I have invited him tomorrow at lunch here. You will be also here. I would introduce him to you then. I do not know German. He can talk English well. He lit a cigarette and told, you look better than the last time. Why have not you stopped smoking? I do smoke only occasionally. Believe me, I think you are doing fine. Yes, I am all right. Could you meet Dr. Lazarus? Yes, I did. He is such a busy fellow. Yet he spared me half an hour of his valuable time. I got an appointment. Me and you will visit his place on the 11th next. I have already booked a plane ticket. Hilda's eyes became bright. She said, I am happy to know about it. I must thank you for taking that much of trouble for me. I have received letters from Rita. She often phoned and asked about you. They are doing well. They might phone tomorrow again. Dr. Reed told, I will have to return soon. If Dr. Lazarus asks you to stay for a few more days, then you might need to stay longer. Will you mind about that? Hilda told quietly, this place is very nice. The hotel is excellent, but I dislike to be alone. Always. I watch movies at times. Some of them I like, others I don't. At times I go out for a drive by the seashore. I feel better that time. Why don't you go always? Sometimes I don't like. I listen to my own songs or murmur them. At that time I forget my age and ailments. To remember about age is also a type of disease. It is better to forget about body's afflictions. The disease does not reside outside my body. It remains inside. Can anyone forget about her body? Dr. Reed switched on the small portable TV in the room. A routine program was running on it. He shut it down after a few minutes. He looked to his wristwatch. It was time for dinner. We will take our dinner here. I take it here all the time. You please change your clothes. I would call room service. Should I give any special order? I would like seafood, a good fish in olive oil, olive juice, salmon or from trout would do. What will you take? They know my menu. I would not change my menu, Hilda said. Though you are a big scientist, you do not have enough free time. You cannot spare a day or two for me, even in my need. You know, our government gives me unlimited money for my research. But will you lose your independence of your private life only for money? Hilda told him coolly. Will the outcome of your research give you and me any personal benefit? This is not a matter of gain or loss for somebody. If some discovery is made out of a research and special satisfaction is arrived at, it is like the personal happiness from creating a special note in your song which might not be fed on by others, and one can see the limitless power of human mind and ingenuity after a new discovery. Let me tell you, if I can discover an awesome and powerful weapon to destroy the whole earth within a second, will it not be a great work of research? Hilda told him sadly, you please go for sleep. I also feel sleepy. Where will me and you live if you destroy the whole world with your weapon? Dr. Reed was tired. He murmured, above the layers of the troposphere, stratosphere, ionosphere, there might be presence of untapped new energy. If we can harvest that awesome power, we can destroy the whole earth. But it might not be used for that purpose. The seed and destruction is itself inside the creations. Life and death are the two sides of the same coin. Snakes carry poison in their teeth, but it works only when it bites. Some little snakes are very beautiful to look at. Your discovery is also like a beautiful but little snake. Hilda was sleepy. Her voice became smaller. Her eyes were closing. At the ballroom of Hotel La Jessica, dance music was running at full throttle. Those sounds were floating in the air. Dr. Reed was getting into sleep. Hilda was feeling lonely, even sleeping near him. A silent sea in the night, a cool blue sky with a soft light of the stars, and the sounds of a music at a distance. And there was nothing. Thank you. I will read the next in the next chapter, okay? Next part.